Mark, my one of my favorite stories you've ever told, and I don't know how deep you can or want to get into it, is when you told me Richard Branson called you.
Oh, yeah.
Is that not for public sharing?
No, I don't care. I figure we should tell somebody eventually anyhow. So here we go. Yeah.
This is my favorite.
This
Devo
is
story.
like Devo, it's 77, 78, and we're just trying to get a record deal. And 78, I think it was on the backside of us going to Germany with Eno and Bowie to record.
No big deal.
But we didn't have a record deal really yet, but we kind of did. And then Richard Branson at the time, I thought he was cool because he was like, we were all like in our early 20s, and he was too. And I'd been out here to Warner Brothers, and it was like you'd go in and they'd have posters of like Prince and Madonna and just the whole range of all the bands that they had. And I just felt like, wow, we're just one little flavor over in a corner. And then I met Richard. Richard Branson did the Sex Pistols. He had the Sex Pistols, and I thought to me that was the coolest band.
Yeah.
That was the coolest punk band there was. And so I thought, well, he's got to be a great guy. He's got to be really smart. He signed them and everything. And so he called up while we were. It was like one of the worst winters ever in Ohio, and the snow was like 30 inches deep, and you couldn't open your door to get out of the house. And Bob Casale and I, we didn't have day jobs, and we didn't have places to stay, so we were in. Some girl was letting us stay in her apartment. I was sleeping on the couch, and he was sleeping on a day bed in the in like a green room or something. It had all windows in this little room out at the front of her apartment. And, we woke up this one day, and I'm looking and the window had opened up above Bob, and he was laying there on this daybed with a blanket, but he was covered with snow. and we got a phone call, and it was Richard Branson, and we're in Akron, Ohio. And he says, hey, you guys want to come down to Jamaica? And I'm thinking, well, I've never been anywhere, so
Yeah.
Jamaica sounds warm compared to
Yep.
where we were. And I go, yeah. He goes, who wants to come along? And like, the only other person interested was Bob Casale. So the two of us, we got on a plane and we flew down to Jamaica, and we went to this, I don't know, it was like some hotel in Kingston. And we're sitting there, and somehow they've taken all the seats, all these guys from Virgin Records. So there's like Simon and other people that started the Virgin Records with Richard, and so they have Bob and me sitting on the floor, and there's this like coffee table, and it's covered with like, marijuana, and they were making joints, but I don't know if they had tobacco in them or not. I don't know how that stuff worked in those days.
Yeah.
I know there was
Spliffs.
Yeah, spliffs. I know
Yeah.
that was like a big deal. So if you saw something gigantic that looked like a cigar, it was probably a spliff.
Right.
Because we were from Ohio, so we would be like talking about, well, I've got some African zombie weed that we're
I
gonna-
just realized back then, if you're in Jamaica, you're in one of the places in the world where you get marijuana. Like this, that
Yeah,
was
where it's
before
like-
anybody could just like have
Yeah,
it on
because
a
it's like
table here.
it's growing everywhere.
Yeah.
You're just like whacking it off and
Yeah.
setting it on the porch to dry. So they were rolling these joints, and they were giant, and they kept pushing our way. And we're like used to like, somebody has African zombie weed, but it means we'd roll a toothpick,
Yeah.
and there'd be like 8 people, and we'd drink a couple bottles of wine first, and then they'd pass this thing around that was so sad and tiny, you'd go, and then pass it around, and then they go, are you getting high? And,
Yeah.
and you'd go, I think so. Let me have another glass of wine.
Yeah.
It was like that kind.
Yeah.
So these
The
guys
good
had these
stuff.
gigantic. We'd never seen that much
Yeah.
marijuana. We're like, whoa, okay. So we're taking hits on it, and Bob was a smoker, so he could really do full lung hits, and he was really high. And it is, that we're talking about, DVO Devo and what's going on. And then we started talking about Sex Pistols, and we said, yeah, we just saw them a couple of weeks ago. We were there on the night of their last show, and Sid and Nancy and Steve Jones and all the Sex Pistols came over to the house where Devo was staying. We were staying in a house where they put together a punk magazine called Search and Destroy.
Yeah.
If you ever see it, it's a pretty amazing magazine from 77, 78. And we just slept on, like newspapers. We were sleeping on stacks of newspapers. And, but, all the Sex Pistol people came over, and so we were partying all night and stuff. And I was saying, yeah, we had such a good time with everybody. It's so sad the band's broken up. That was our favorite band, and yeah, I really wish they were still together, and we're gonna miss them, and blah blah blah. And Richard leans over and he goes, well, I'll tell you why I invited you guys down here. He says, Johnny Rotten is in the next room over here, and I have reporters from Melody Maker, New Music Express, and Sounds Magazine here. And if you guys want to do it, we can all go down to the beach and announce that Johnny Rotten is going to join Devo. And I just remember, I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm looking at him, and he's like looking at me with these big, crazy eyes, and this wide grin, and I go, he's got teeth. He had aggressive teeth, like, pushing forward. I'm like, he has teeth like a brain-eating ape. That's what I remember thinking while I was sitting there. And then like how marijuana can make you, like, for no reason at all, everything becomes ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like I started laughing and I couldn't stop, and I'm laughing at, and I'm looking at Bob, and Bob's just cross-eyed and like he's totally gone. Yeah. And I'm like, Richard, I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just. But I got to tell you, I mean, yes, Johnny Rotten's amazing. That's our favorite band ever. And but Devo's we already have a band. We're already, we already do what we do. I said, maybe instead of Johnny joining Devo, he should do like we did, and instead of being an anarchist, he should flip it over, and he should we're DVO Incorporated. He should incorporate. And I just remember Branson getting bummed out, because he had all these people from England that he flew there.
Because he thought you were just going to go with it right there and then.
I don't know what I guess he's had.
I thought. I mean, that guy's really accomplished. That is one of the. I mean, I don't know, but that seems like one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard of.
I mean, can you imagine the few songs that they did
he
do
just
would be amazing?
Doesn't.
But it just wouldn't work.
Even
in
like
the long
you
term.
sing with him, if you had him sing with him now, it would still be like, I don't understand why.
That's the right turn.
You guys need to both start walking the opposite way.
But the nuance to that is when he talks about the corporation, then you know what Johnny Rotten did, John Lydon, Public Image Limited. A corporation band.
Man, he did.
But it was like, so that was like, I went, okay, so he signed Sex Pistols, but he's a dangerous person with crazy ideas. So.
Yeah. What did you say was a brain-eating monkey?
Brain-eating ape. I said ape. I didn't use the word monkey. And I said his teeth just protruded like a brain-eating ape.
Yeah.
But you said
that's
recently,
some good weed, man.
You told me recently that there was a reporter that was there, and he reminded you, he goes, I was there waiting.
Yeah. Who was that guy? He was I can't remember how we ran into each
That's how
other.
the story. That's how I
true.
learned the story from him. He said, I just met this guy that was in the next room when we were supposed to have a press conference to announce Johnny Rotten and Devo. And I was like, wait,
what was it going to be called?
What just happened?
Johnny Rotten and the Devos? Like, what?
Maybe we should have done it for one day.
That's how long it would have lasted anyway.
Exactly.
One time I was in Europe and I was drinking. I used to be a skateboarding alcoholic. And my friend and I were knocking on other skateboarders' hotel rooms, and when they'd open, I would just barge through the door and go to their fridge and pull all the alcohol out into my T-shirt and walk off. So I was just raiding people's rooms over and over again. And all of a sudden, Johnny Rotten he's staying, I don't know how, it's got nothing to do with skateboarding, wasn't doing a music tour. I was skateboarding and I didn't know there was any music around, but I know who that dude is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how drunk I am. As soon as I slammed the door and came out to the corridor and he's standing, no shirt on, with his pajama pants on, like, and I was like, sorry, man, just sorry. I'm trying to get a lot of alcohol. You understand, you know what I mean? You know, you've been there.
You understand.
Yeah. I'm like, but I'll go back in my room. I'm sorry. And he didn't say anything. He just was like, yeah.
That's kind of because he's probably like also thinking, but at the same time, I would have done it to you. So
That's what I was thinking at the time. So I think that's why he didn't.
In his days, for sure.